Do you want to know how to look and feel as beautiful as Miss Universe Ireland? Well, we'd best get into the video then, mightn't we? But just before, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave the video a little like, because I know you're going to love it. Hey ho, let's go!
Hi.
Hi, how are you, lovely?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good as well. You look like an absolute radiant angel over there.
Thank you so much. Work calls all day, so it was just a cardigan kind of day.
Oh, no. Do you actually get your makeup done professionally every day? Has someone done your makeup today, or is this you yourself?
I wish. I absolutely wish.
Well, that's what, like, I'm just looking at you thinking that's literally exactly what you look like, as if your makeup and hair has been professionally done. I'm just like, oh goodness, maybe I would have needed someone to sort me out today.
Well, it's just practice, because from the moment I was competing for Miss Universe Ireland this year and won, we had to do our own makeup because of lockdown. So we couldn't have any makeup artists for any photo shoots that I had done.
Wow.
Was shut down. So
deep end. So if you didn't know makeup before then, you would have had to learn it very quickly.
You just had to practice, because even something as simple as getting a haircut whenever you were competing for the title, you couldn't get a dental appointment, you couldn't get a haircut, I couldn't get my eyebrows, my eyelashes, anything like that. You couldn't get it done because we were in lockdown. So you were competing whilst going back to basics and trying to do everything yourself. And then even when we were away, we had, on the final nights, we had 10-minute touch-ups of hair and makeup before we stood on stage. But because of COVID, that
was yeah, that just goes to show you literally won Miss Universe Ireland, though, as all you, because you had learned, you weren't relying on anyone else's skills to do your makeup and hair. You had just learned and done it for you, and I think that's like a double achievement for you, right?
You just learn to adapt very quickly.
I think that actually goes nicely, though, into our sort of topic, which is, feeling how to feel as beautiful on the inside as you do on the outside, because I had sort of recognized that maybe there's an expectation that models and people who have received these massive world titles of Miss Universe Ireland, whatever, that they would feel themselves beautiful on the inside, but that actually isn't necessarily the case, and that a lot of models would be very much the opposite and crippled with self-esteem issues. Before we talk about your experience, have you felt that the models you've been around have all been, very much like feeling as beautiful on the inside, or would you have found it a very much thing where these girls actually really hate themselves?
Honestly, it's a mixed bag. It is a completely mixed bag, because at the end of the day, we're all human.
Yeah.
What I found in pageantry, and again, this is just my experience from the girls that I spoke out to, they'd all been through their own kind of difficulties with their body image and with your self-love and all of that, like we all do. But they had found something. They had found perspective. They had found a way to practice loving themselves on the inside and out. They had found a way of accepting those flaws, and really just realizing that those flaws are what make them so special. So thankfully, for the majority that I was talking to, that was the case. It wasn't that they never had those difficulties and that they were completely in love with themselves. It was that they accepted that sometimes what's expected of you as a model or a beauty queen or an influencer isn't that you're going to be 100% perfect all the time, because we all know that that's not real life. Thankfully, a lot of the girls that I spoke to, we actually had a lot of very kind of important conversations, and we're very open with each other about all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are some that battle with their own things inside still. We all do. And I think that's just a reminder that everyone needs, no matter what your job is, because all of these things at the end of the day are a job.
Yeah.
You're still human, and you're still going to have those little touchy things that bother you that your saboteur in your mind is going to throw back at you every so often?
I think there's a lot to be said though for that, you know, they have been through struggles and that they've learned from it and sort of grown to embrace it and embody it. And yeah, it's not going to be like flawless every day, but I mean, you have even said yourself, like, to find beauty and the learning that can come in those times of when you don't feel so great.
Yes.
To actually use those times to do more work on yourself and really show yourself more love. And do you want to tell everyone what you do every morning?
It's okay. So this, to be honest, if you'd asked, I never would have told you that I did this like a year and a half ago because I was so skundered. I was so embarrassed.
It is not embarrassing at all. See, when you told me, I was like, oh my goodness, that is beyond. Because I would do that, you know, I wouldn't be a big mirror looker or body checker. Like, I don't have a mirror. So for me, I have these affirmations just myself and I'm always rhyming over it. But whenever I heard that you know what, you go on, you tell, I was just like, gosh, that's really beautiful.
The mirror has not always been my friend. For a long, long time, the mirror was my biggest enemy. And like us all, we have those things that we can pick about ourselves that we hate day to day. And I say hate, and I realize that's a strong word, but sometimes we truly do hate these aspects.
Yeah.
And I went through a stage where I was being so hard on myself. And it was actually my fiance who had said, Nadia, why do you hate yourself? Why do you do this to yourself? So much that he'd noticed. And through therapy, I learned, my therapist asked me to do this every morning, and I laughed at her. And I was like, I will feel so ridiculous. But fine, I'll prove you wrong. I'll do it and show you that it's not going to work. Behold, I had to eat my words, because every morning, and I still do it, I make myself pick one thing that I truly love about myself that day. And some mornings it could be that my hair's sitting really nice. Some mornings it could be, look, Nadia, you were exhausted today and you still got out of bed and you made your coffee and you did you stuck through it. Or it could be, you know what, you're actually rocking that outfit today and I'm really proud of you for that. So I'll say that to myself in the mirror, because then whenever I start to verge into maybe nitpicking at things about myself, I focus on that one thing I said to myself this morning. And if you can do that every day and pick a different thing each day, then it's basically gratitude, and it's flexing that muscle of self-love every morning. So you're getting used to that mindset already, and it becomes easier. You feel ridiculous at the start, but it gets easier.
I love that you've said it's like flexing that muscle, because muscles specifically, if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you're not actually constantly utilizing that self-love muscle, then it's just going to be wasting away, and it leaves more room for the negativity and the criticism and the self-critic that is really that you're always fighting against, unless you've done a lot of work and healing, could always be overriding your mind.
Yes, I call that little voice the saboteur. Now I've named mine. That's another technique I've used.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do this, that it's like differentiating between like the angel and devil in your head kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's something that you would do with especially a lot of kids in therapy.
Yes.
To do therapy and they were feeling a lot of anxiety or a lot of sadness or a lot of anger, you'd get them to name that as like a different person, and it kind of and helps them to communicate about it, but it also helps them to recognize it. So we in my job, there's like a villain in our comic books in Belfast called the Saboteur, and that's exactly what the Saboteur is. It's that self-loathing, that negative talk that's in your head. So I decided to name mine after someone that trolled me.
Yes.
My thought was, if that person walked up to me in the street and said the things I say to myself sometimes, I wouldn't listen to them, because I'd be like, you know what, you have a good day, but I'm not going to let this bother me. So why do I listen to it so much when I say it to myself? So I named that saboteur after that person. And now I don't listen to it.
Wow. God, that's really actually powerful. You know, that I'm sure with doing what you do and everything, I mean, there can be a lot of critics. I don't know whether you have personally experienced that yourself. Do you know that there's outside critics, never mind you criticizing yourself, that you're very much exposing yourself to whether, obviously it's never warranted and you never deserve people to be just pure haters, but that this is sort of that by being in that job, you would experience it more than someone, for example, who's never online and never done anything like this and never has to deal with online comments, So you've actually used someone else's, what they've said, to feed into you having a better relationship and your own mental capacity to show love to yourself.
Now, whether that's for everyone, I don't know, but for me it's worked. It's helped me to kind of, but I think for so long, because of the work that I do, because like I've been modeling now for 10 years now, that in every different kind of arena, and then doing promotional work, then doing beauty pageants, it's a lot, like you say, a lot of eyes are on you a lot of the time, and I don't think you really think about that before you get into it. Because believe it or not, people who are doing modeling, they aren't there to be the center of attention. I always say I'm a hanger. Like, I'm a hanger for whatever I'm modeling, and that is that.
Yeah.
I just seem to be the right type of hanger for that clothing brand or for that makeup artist.
Yeah.
It's not that you want to be the center of attention. It's that you enjoy the creativity. You enjoy the exploration. Yeah. Like, I love whenever I'm done up 10 different ways in one day, because I like to see utility that's there. I have fun and I learn so much. But just because you're in that arena doesn't mean that you're there fully expecting all of the eyes that are on you. And you have to kind of build a thick skin very quickly. And I think I spent so long building a thick skin against what other people said that I forgot to kind of focus on what I said. So that I think that's why it's helped me, because for me it's easier if someone else says something negative about me. I can say, well, that's your opinion and that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't need to listen to that. But if I say it to myself, same with everyone, it hits a lot harder. So for me, it's a way to kind of distance it from myself and realize that that's a little irrational part of my mind that has been flexing itself for far too long. Away for a bit.
Time to say enough's enough, hun, because you are the person that you will spend the rest of your life with. So I think it's really, really important. The most important relationship of all is to have a beautiful relationship with yourself. So really, and I would love to know, do you feel, obviously we're talking about feeling beautiful on the inside, but do you feel there is a pressure to look aesthetically beautiful on the outside all of the time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think that there is in two ways. So in day-to-day life, I think we are easily put in boxes, or we put ourselves in boxes.
And you obviously at the moment have the title of Miss Universe Ireland, so I can imagine that does add even an extra layer of pressure than anything else that you've ever had.
Yes, no, definitely it can do. And I know that being put in a box it was detrimental to my mental well-being and my physical well-being when I was younger, because I was put in a box as the skinny friend, and I put myself in. So I made sure I stayed there no matter what. And that ended up really negatively impacting my health, impacting my mindset. And to get through that and realize you don't need to stay in that same box forever.
Your body can change. I actually didn't know that about you, Nadia, so I really appreciate you sharing that, like, experience from childhood. Because I obviously associate with that a lot myself, in terms of always being the skinny one, right?
Yeah, and it's something that I think it took me a long time to realize myself. I didn't realize it for years, and it took me a long time to realize that wasn't a healthy thought pattern, and that I'm looking after myself. So I think that sometimes these boxes are really detrimental, and I put pressure on myself then. But once you come through that, and obviously this is the job that I'm in, like you say, now being Miss Universe Ireland, and beforehand, even just because I was modeling, people assume that you're going to look a certain way. And I how are you a model? Or do you not need to be pretty to be in beauty pageants?
Mm.
And that's their perception. They don't perceive me to be good enough to be But one thing you have to do is just, one thing I try to do is always remind myself that I'm there for a reason. With regards to modeling, it's your imperfections are the reason why you're chosen to be a model. It's what makes you look different is why you're chosen. So you need to celebrate those imperfections.
Yeah.
And within pageantry, you work so hard for anything that you get. Like, a pageant is not just standing on a stage and looking pretty. You work so hard.
No.
I still remember the day after I won, because we were in lockdown. Well, it was Christmas. We were allowed a couple of people, but we were still relatively like locked down. And overnight, my Instagram following doubled.
Wow.
And that terrified, and it still wasn't a massive number, but it terrified me. Like, I mean, I was having phone issues anyway. My phone had kind of was falling apart.
It's actually given me a bit of anxiety even thinking about, how that would actually impact you, that number, and having to deal with the influx of everything that would come with that. Like, overnight, your life was flipped around. Like, I didn't even consider that.
And that was honestly the only real point that I was terrified, and I got a real fear. It was partly down to technical difficulties, but I was glad for them. I didn't actually post on my Instagram for a couple of days because I got the fear. I was like, oh my goodness, imposter syndrome kicked in massively.
Yeah, too many people.
Too many eyes. And who do they think I am?
Who are they? So many questions. Like, you knew maybe more about the people who were following you, and now there was all these new people. Like, what were they going to think of you? I can imagine there'd be so many like questions.
Yeah, and as well, was I going to disappoint them? Because such an amazing organization, and all of the girls that were crowned before me were phenomenal girls. Like, I love them, each and every one of them, so much, and they have been invaluable to me. They've been really like sisters. And they get it. They're still real people.
Yeah.
But I was like, they think I'm like them, but I'm not like them. And I'm not gonna lie, I freaked out. But my director checked in, and I was a bit honest. I was honest with her, and I said, this is massive. And thank God I have such a good team. They had arranged a call with me straight after Christmas. We talked about it. They talked me through some of the things that I could expect, like followers increasing, like even like trolls and messages, even something as simple as practical things in my daily life that might change.
Yeah.
By step to try and ease me into it and help me. So I was very fortunate that I had them. But I still remember my first post was on Christmas Day, and I did put up a quick story, and I was terrified. And I didn't go near my phone the rest of the day because I was like, oh my goodness, what if people don't like it?
Yeah.
The funny thing is, it was actually a friend of mine who'd asked me to go and speak to a group. He's a youth leader, and he asked me to speak to a group of girls about anxiety and body issues.
Yeah.
So
you felt you were in your element. It was like exactly what you needed from the universe. It was like, yes, this is what I needed to be asked to do.
World. And as a thank you, he wrote me a card, and from all the girls, and he had said, it's so good. I still remember, it's like, it's so good to see you do what you were finally meant to do. You're really going to make a difference because of what you're passionate about. And you see, like that, it reminded me of my why.
Yeah, your purpose. You were living your purpose.
Yeah, and I wasn't afraid of the numbers or the eyes anymore. Like, now my following's triple what it was.
Yeah.
I jumped on yesterday morning with no makeup on, not even a brush through my hair, because that's my real life.
Love that. See, filter free. I would always say, like, filter free flossom, bare, be beautiful, and really embrace that, because there's obviously so much physical beauty that you can see from the creativity and the art and expression, everything that comes behind doing makeup and doing hair, and how you feel about how that then has a knock-on impact on how you feel about yourself and how you show up in the world, that it can be a really powerful tool. But that knowing that whenever you wake up in the morning with nothing and just like as your whole and fabulous self, that is so more than enough, and you actually don't need anything more than that to be enough in this world.
Yeah, like I am asking any of my friends, I am all for being extra and out there and having fun with makeup and wearing big fluffy dresses, and I'm all for that because
of course, because it's fun.
Yeah, but I think you need to know why you're doing it. Sometimes if you're not having a great day, it's a great suit of armor, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It can't always be your suit of armor. You need to kind of learn to be able to work on yourself inside whilst you're kind of putting on that front outside. Like now, years ago, I wouldn't have walked to the shop without some makeup on. See, now,
me too, Nadia.
God bless if people see me with makeup on half the time.
Really? Yeah.
Day, if I have a video call like this, I'll do my hair and put on makeup. If I'm going out to something, I'll put on makeup. But if I'm just going to the gym or going to the shop or around the house, why would I waste the makeup? I want to let my skin breathe.
I love that actually, that you do still actually go out. I think that's quite refreshing to hear for me and probably a lot of other people, that you do still actually leave your house and have the world see you and show up as still you without makeup and hair done. And the fact that did you say you went live on Instagram yesterday without any makeup or hair done?
Well, I went on my story. Yeah, it's just a little video.
Yeah, that's really up. No, and I think there's so much importance in that, in such a filtered, flawless society that we are embraced in now. That, I mean, people, even what we see online, like, isn't reality, because everything's just, well, for a lot of people, everything's filtered. I personally have never used a filter, so I don't really know what this is like to experience, but if you're continually using this filter and filtering your life, that what does your real life then feel like to you?
Mm-hmm. Like, I'll be honest, I love a good filter sometimes. It depends though. Some of them, for me, some of them change your whole face.
They completely distort you and they're not you at all. But I think a lot of people would say, like, oh, they're fun, and there's some that are really, really fun, and that's why they use them.
And I think it comes down to the why with it again. Like, some of them I'll like flick through and I'm like, that doesn't even look like me anymore. So I couldn't even use that, and people would be messaging me asking me, was I okay? Like me. But like, fun little filters I will use sometimes, but I think it's whenever you become reliant on them.
Yeah.
And differentiating and knowing what you're using your platform, your social media for. If you're using it for a bit of fun and things like that, but if you're using it to try and I think it's unrealistic to say that nobody gets validation ever from social media. We all have at some point, whether it was at the start, whenever you first got it, whenever you got, I don't know, 50 likes and before you'd only got 2, like, you get excited. But that's a dangerous kind of hamster wheel to fall into.
Yeah.
And it's being aware of that and being able to stop in its tracks and question why. Like, for me, I couldn't tell you how many likes I got on my last photo or my last 10 photos.
We can turn the likes off now as well. Like, people actually have the power to turn their likes off.
Yeah. And I think that's amazing. Giving people control of what is useful for them. For me, I don't care how many likes other people have. I don't need to see that.
No.
Nor do I see how many I have.
It's irrelevant. It's just a number. Like, numbers are nothing. It's more important how you feel about yourself than what anyone thinks about you, always. But knowing that, like, a lot of teenagers and people growing up, Nadia, as well, they actually delete photos if they don't get X amount of likes, or these kind of things. And it is quite heartbreaking.
I suppose that's the society that they've kind of and again, it's sharing that message that these things, like, I know I sit and scroll through Instagram sometimes and I might look at something like, that's cool, but it might not even dawn on me to like something. Like, now I make more of a conscious effort to go and like those things that I support, those like positive girls that I think are really hyping it up for other girls. I love that, and I will consciously go online and look for those positive message and look for those hype girls that are wanting women to do
and
well.
show your support.
Show support and comment my support for those sorts of messages, because I know that I could have done with seeing a lot more of those at the start. And I forgot that I control the content that I consume. Hide stuff you don't need to see that aren't helpful to you. You can go and follow pages that help and inspire you and help you to glow.
But also, Nadia, what you engage with shows for you more, because Instagram learns with the algorithm. So if you like and comment on things that you really stand for and you want to see more of, that is what you will see. And you do need to filter this online world that you're consuming, because I mean that's going to be feeding into your brain.
Yeah, and we do it without realizing. I think
it
was actually the start of the pandemic where I kind of realized I don't need to see all of this stuff that at the time is terrifying me. It's not helpful. I'm not learning from it. It's just scaring me. It's making me anxious. It's making me sad.
Putting those boundaries in place for yourself, really.
Yeah. So I hid them. I unfollowed pages I didn't need to follow. If it was a friend even that was putting stuff up that wasn't useful, I didn't unfollow them, but I just hid it from my feed.
You can hide. Yeah, you can literally hide people now, so they don't even need to know that you've unfollowed them. You can just hide, which is, I mean, really, really like beneficial and helpful for people, so they're not offending people.
Exactly. So that, like, for me, that was so helpful. And I think it took so long for me to learn that I could do that.
Yeah.
If children and young people could learn now, social media is not bad if it's used in the right way. It's like anything in life, it can be abused, but it also can be used for really powerful things.
Yeah.
So make it work for you, make it feed you, not feed you, because we can do that.
Yes, I love that. Make it feed you, not fail you. That's really, I'm all about that alliteration, Nadia. We love it. So that's actually a really nice way to, sort of end on social media, because that is so pervasive in our society, to really, because I think it can have a massive impact, knock on, to how we feel about ourselves with social media, and how beautiful we feel on the inside. Because if we are consuming and really polluting our lives with physically, aesthetically, absolutely flawless humans, then how do we feel in comparison, and sort of really cutting comparison as well?
Exactly. Nobody, and I know you'll hear it a million times, that nobody's perfect, and you might say, but that person looks perfect.
Yeah.
I can guarantee if you ask them, there's times where they don't feel perfect.
No.
But it's a process. It's learning to love yourself isn't going to happen overnight. It's a process of acceptance and reflection, and learning to love those things that you maybe didn't love before. And I'm not saying you can't, if you want shorter hair, get your hair cut. If you want your teeth straightened, go get your teeth straightened. Those are your choices, as long as you're doing it for you and for the right decisions for you, not because you feel pressured to do that.
And I think as well, Nadia, do you know the way we were saying about, maybe that can be our challenge for people, actually, to say one thing each morning in the mirror that they love about themselves. But I was really thinking of, because I've done a lot of affirmations of how I am, the way I want to be, regardless of how I actually am now, because that is what I want to be bringing about for myself, that someone could actually use what they consider a flaw to start saying in the mirror to themselves, I love this. And actually, test out that muscle. Like, say you hate your lips, for example, look at yourself in the mirror and say, today I love my lips. And actually, really, that can be an extra thing that you can do on top of a new thing every day, if there is something that you feel like that you really don't, that you could work on loving a bit more about yourself.
Completely. And it would be great if people would let us know what they think about it. Let us know how it goes for them. Try it for 1 week and see how you feel. I guarantee you'll feel ridiculous the first time, and that's okay. That's normal, but keep it up.
I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to start doing this. Because I'm interested and I like doing experiments. I've always been sciencey. But yeah, B, because I want to get involved with something that you're doing and what we're going to encourage everyone else to do to see how it impacts me.
Yeah.
So thank you, Nadia. Thank you so much. Do you want to tell people where they can actually find you in this world? Obviously, if they type into Google, like, but you know, how do they, like actually connect with you?
Yeah, I'd say I spend most of my kind of online time on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, if you message me on Instagram, I will get back to you. I don't like leaving message requests or anything sitting there, so I will get it. I will get back to you.
Me either. Yeah, you're very good that way, which is lovely actually, because I know there would be a lot of people online who, you know, they post things and they never respond to the comments or anything, which I find actually quite sad. But I mean, obviously everyone's quite busy, but I really value the people that are in your community, and it's kind if someone reaches out to you, right?
Well, it is a balancing act. Like, I know even when I was at Miss Universe,
of course,
hundreds and thousands of things coming through, like thousands of likes and comments.
Yeah.
And one night I got in, I had 500 messages, but I would sit there and get through as many as I could, and I would work through them when I had a chance. So
like we bite-sized chunks of, because you can spend your whole life responding to those kind of things. Like, you need to separate your boundaries. But yes, what is your name to find you on the gram? Because I know it's not just Nadia Sayers.
Of course not, it had to be complicated.
Well, mine too, sure.
My name on Instagram is littlered.s.
Yes. So is that would be the main place then that people can connect with you and find out more about what you're doing and how you're living this life that you are lit up every single day?
That is where you will see me day in, day out. And yeah, I'm always live on a Monday evening as well on the Miss Universe Instagram page. So I go live there every Monday at 6:30 for little conversations and mental health talks and things like that.
And can people come in and ask questions, or do they send in their request beforehand? What's the sort of setup for that?
So if there's a certain topic or kind of subject you want covered in Tea Time with Nadia,
I love it.
And we'll talk about it. Like, I get my topics from everyone that messages. So if there's a certain topic, send it through. But every Monday we take questions. I like it to be as conversational as possible. So in the comment section, you just be typing away. Even if you have a different view or perspective on it, let me know. That's what we're there for. We're there to open the conversation, and that's
love that, having discussions and really getting people involved and talking, and I mean, connecting is curing, right?
Yep, and that's what Tea Time with Nadia is all about.
Oh, thank you so much, Nadia, honestly, for your time and like all the experience and wisdom you've shared with me and then with everyone else that's listened to this now. I genuinely really, it's been so beautiful actually getting to speak to you on this and just finding out a bit more about you too. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Oh, of course. Well, I will leave you to have a lovely evening and I will chat to you very, very soon.
Chat to you soon.
Oh, thank you.
And as always, thanks to you lovely lot for watching along too. If you want to get involved in this week's challenge, it'll be over on Instagram, saved as a little template for to share to your story. My Instagram is Surviving Now Thriving. So we'll both look forward to seeing you over there and seeing what you're loving about yourselves each and every day. And I know you won't want to miss the next Time to Thrive live episode. So if you haven't already, you'll want to hit that subscribe button. And sure, leave it a little like while you're at it. Lots